Justin Fields, the New York Jets' new $40 million man, has instantly become the center of attention following a toe injury that sent a shockwave through the franchise's training camp and what initially seemed like a nightmare. A carted-off quarterback with a limp and uncertainty in the air has now been described as a best-case scenario for the team, as doctors confirmed the dislocation does not involve the big toe or bone fractures and that Fields is listed as day-to-day, expected to return within a week or two without needing surgery, giving Jets fans a collective sigh of relief while also triggering a deeper conversation about their quarterback strategy and roster security, especially with such a fragile recent history under center, dating back to Zach Wilson's inconsistency, Sam Darnold's departure, and Aaron Rodgers' devastating Achilles tear that lasted only 4 snaps into the season, making Fields not just a hopeful new face but also a symbol of redemption for the fan base. With many already comparing his explosive running style and breakout potential to Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts, which is why even a small injury magnifies speculation on trade backups and offensive adaptation, especially since the Jets brought in veteran Tyrod Taylor for leadership and stability, who has now taken over first-team representatives and is reportedly communicating well with offensive coordinator Tanner Engstrand, tasked with rapidly tailoring a dual-threat playbook to Fields' strengths, including rollouts, option reads, and his laser-quick throws on the run, all of which had been showcased during his 2024 campaign in Pittsburgh, where Fields posted a career-best completion rate and finished the season with over 1,100 yards, 10 total touchdowns, and a stunning 8.7 yards per attempt, while minimizing turnovers and proving he can protect the football even under pressure, which earned him a 2-year deal from New York, who chose to part ways with Wilson and delay Rodgers' return for good, yet the timing of the toe injury, occurring just days into the first padded practices, means chemistry with top targets like Garrett Wilson could take a temporary hit, especially since Wilson is emerging as a premier receiver in the AFC East and Fields was brought in specifically to develop that connection, and so every missed snap in July and August matters when trying to dethrone the Bills or Dolphins for a playoff push, especially under a new head coach like Aaron Glenn, a defensive mind, whose leadership style centers on discipline, resilience, and emotional reset from the franchise's long playoff drought. But it's the offense that remains the question mark, and Fields is seen as the X-factor, someone whose legs can extend plays and whose deep ball accuracy when rolling to his right adds a new wrinkle the Jets haven't had in years, which is why even this brief injury window is making analysts like Robert Griffin III float backup scenarios such as Kirk Cousins being monitored if Fields doesn't bounce back quickly. Although the organization is putting out a firm stance that Fields is their guy, with insiders confirming that no external quarterback discussions are happening yet and the plan is to see Fields back in full pads by preseason week 2, which would allow him to get comfortable behind a rebuilt offensive line and test his timing with new slot weapons and tight ends, including revamped packages designed to capitalize on his ability to read defensive shifts pre-snap and change the play at the line, something that was evident during his final few games in Chicago, where he often adjusted protections and coverage before the ball was even snapped, a sign of his maturing football IQ, and when healthy, his speed can change the entire dynamic of a drive, averaging over 6.5 yards per carry in his best games and creating separation for his receivers by drawing linebackers toward the line. So now, with his toe being closely monitored and Tyrod Taylor temporarily steering the first-team ship, the franchise finds itself once again in a critical test of adaptability, with fans holding their breath and hoping the medical staff's positive update holds true, since New York's entire season hinges on a healthy Fields being ready to open the year and take on some of the NFL's toughest defenses while still building trust with a unit that is under pressure to perform immediately, given the team's expensive off-season moves and a division that is quickly becoming one of the league's most competitive. And while Fields has dealt with criticism in the past regarding his pocket awareness and holding the ball too long, his strides in those areas with the Steelers, especially in his ability to climb the pocket rather than escape backward, were enough to convince the Jets front office that he was not just a reclamation project but a true franchise quarterback if molded right. So this is less about one toe and more about protecting an investment, and a strategy that is aiming to finally flip the narrative around the Jets from being cursed at quarterback to building something sustainable, fast, and fearless, with their defense already set up to be top 5 thanks to studs like Sauce Gardner and Quinnen Williams, but only if the offense can match pace, and Fields, even limited for a week, will still be in film rooms, still wearing the headset, still working with the coaching staff to install red zone plays and third down scenarios, all while fans and media track his toe recovery like it's a stock ticker, and for good reason. If Fields lives up to his dual-threat promise, avoids major setbacks, and returns to the field with momentum before the season starts, the Jets suddenly go from being another AFC East afterthought to a serious contender, especially if the offensive line continues to gel and he finds rhythm with the tight ends and backs in the checkdown game, which was a missing element in his Bears days, but is now being emphasized heavily by the Jets coaching staff to avoid unnecessary hits and keep Fields in games longer, and as long as his mobility isn't compromised, this version of Justin Fields, more poised, more patient, more decisive, might be the best the NFL has seen of him yet, and while the injury is a setback, it's also a reminder that the margin for error at quarterback in this league is razor thin. So the next few weeks will determine whether New York made the right gamble, or whether they need a new insurance policy before week 1, but for now, like, comment, share and subscribe if you're betting on Fields to bounce back and prove every doubter wrong.